Hello, my name is Carl Surrey, and this is a video tutorial for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software. Now, I have recently been having a sort of exchange of emails with a gentleman called Murray White, and he's been having a bit of problems getting the outline of this subject that he's taken a picture of this knife, and then he's sort of inset sort of other pictures with various details of the knife or the stand. He's not having the problems with the sort of getting the outline effect. His sort of main problem has been getting the colour, because he wants to use the colour picker to select a colour from the image to use as the outline colour. So you got the sort of the same sort of tonal range for the outside as you do for the whole image. Now, just doing a video on the colour picker wouldn't take very long, so I thought I would sort of expand the subject slightly and have a look at the outline effect and the various options that you have with it. So, to sort of recreate this slightly, I've found two pictures on pixabay.com of this knife. So I'm going to use this as the main picture, and I'm going to use this as the inset of a close-up of the handle. So first of all, I need a selection of this. I can't really use the oval selection because this is a bit too close to the top, but you'll get the idea of what I'm going to try and do. I don't need the whole picture, so I'll just make a selection of that area, and I'll come to edit, copy, come back to the main background image that I want, and then edit, paste. Now I just need to resize this, so I'll come to the move tool, come down to one of the corners, hold down the control key, which will keep the aspect ratios, and then put it into a position that I want, roughly about there. I think I can just increase the size slightly. There we go. Right, so I can come off of the move tool to get rid of that blue box. So now we want to use the outline option, which is in the effects tab. So you've got layers, adjustments, effects. So I click on effects, and one of the options here is outline. And when you put a tick in the outline box, you get three options, which is color, opacity, and radius. And the radius is just the thickness of the outline, and then obviously opacity is how dark it is, how solid, whether it's 100% solid or less than 100% solid. And obviously then we come to the color. Now you can get more options for the outline tool than what you see here, and to get that you need to come to this little cog that's up here on the outline tab, and this cog should be available with all of the various effects, because if you click on that, it opens up the layer effects options. So you've got all the different options that you can go to, but outline is the one that's highlighted because that's how we accessed it. So you have the same three sliders of the color, the radius and opacity, but you do have a couple of more options. So let me first just increase the radius. I'll go quite thick for this demonstration. You wouldn't necessarily do this if you're doing this properly. You've got blend modes, which in this particular case wouldn't really make that much difference. It'll either be there or it won't be there, really. So I'll leave that on normal. And again, like I said, you've got the opacity of how dark or light you want this to be, or transparent I should say, rather than light. And this next one is the alignment. Now by default I think it's set on outside, which basically means that the line will start from the outside edge and come out. Because if I drop this back down to 0, as you can see, the line starts from the outside edge and goes outwards. If I put it on the center, half of this will be on the outside edge and half will be sort of moving inwards. And then the bottom one is inside, where basically the outline will start from the outside edge and just go inwards, which I can't see many people would want, because you are losing the image that you've spent time selecting. So I think 9 times out of 10 most people will go with outside, but you do have the options to change that. Now this last one, you've got solid colour, which is obviously what this is, solid colour. Or you can go to contour, which gives you the gradient, so it goes from black into white. But you can click on the gradient square here and you can change, you could change the colours, but and at what point it starts to go from black, grey to white. Or you could even reverse it, so you've got black on the inside, white on the outside, or whichever colours you have this set to. But that's a whole different tutorial, really, looking at gradients. And the next one is actually gradient, but this will be, it will start black or whatever colour you have it set at on one side of the outline, and then it will change slowly to white or whatever colour you have it set as on the other side. Must admit I can't quite see the need for that, but again you do have that option. So let me come back to solid colour, and I will click on the colour option here. So as you can see, at the moment I have it set up on HSL sliders, so you can click somewhere in here to get the various shades of whichever colours you have here. But if you come down to hue, for example, in this drop down menu, and at the moment it's set on the green hue, but you could pick whichever colour hue that you're after, say blue for example, and then click inside this box to get a colour within that hue range. So as you see, as I click around this area here, that outline changes colour. The next one down after that is saturation. So again, you could pick a different colour, let's say this orangey colour here, and then you could increase the saturation of that colour or reduce the saturation of that colour so it goes back to grey. The one after this is lightness, which again you could pick a colour that you want here, but you could make that colour darker or you can make that colour lighter. And greyness is just various shades of grey that you can pick. Now swatches you have, it starts off on by default on greys, but you can go for colour swatches and then just pick one of these colours, say that one there, and it will change to that colour. And gradients, this won't really make too much difference to the actual image, because say this is like white to black, you select black would start off in the middle and come out to white, but as the middle is not sort of visible, all you're getting is white, so it doesn't really have that much effect in this particular tool. And then you have all these various Pantone swatches, so you let's go with metallics coated, and then you could pick one of these. So however you pick your colour, using swatches or using like hue, saturation or lightness or greyness or whatever, you can still then come back to saturation and bump up or decrease the saturation of the colour that you've picked from the swatch. So let me just go back to, where should we get to? HSL wheel. Now I'm not a big fan of the wheel personally, but you can get your hue by clicking on the outside circle, give it a red, and then click on the inside circle triangle to get the colour you want. So I'll leave that like that. So now we're coming to the point which Murray wanted, which was using the colour picker. Now I'm going to move this over this side. Now hopefully, if I click on the colour again, up here in the right hand corner you have the eyedropper, which is the colour picker tool, and next to it you have the colour that is currently set, which was the red that I picked earlier. Now if you click on the eye colour tool, nothing happens, which I'm guessing is where Murray is sort of not quite understanding how this works, and I could be wrong, and I may be doing him a disservice, but I'm guessing this is where his problem is. What you need to do is to click on this icon, but keep the left mouse button held down, and then drag outwards, and you get this like very big magnified image of the magnification of the image, sorry, and it will then display all the pixels below the cursor. And you don't have to stay within this image, you can even select colors from outside and from Affinity Photo itself. So I mean, you could pick a color from, say, this icon up here and have the blue or the green or the red from that icon, or even the color swatch options up here. I mean, even the panel from which we are making the selections. So basically it's just a case of finding a colour that you like within the picture. So I'm going to go with maybe something from the knife itself here, sort of a grey, not quite the white, but just onto the greyish colour, and you let go, and what has happened now is that colour is now in the little circle next to the eyedropper. So if you click on that little circle, it will make that colour the colour of the outline. So once you're happy with the colour, because you can always go back and pick another colour if you don't like it from the picture that you're doing, and that is basically a quick look at how the outline effects work and how the colour picker from that option also works. I mean, the colour picker will work in the same way in other options, like if you were doing a colour fill and whatever, but hopefully this answers Mary's questions or problems, and hopefully it will help others as well. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.